Cue the music, cause we putting on a show.
Okay, let's rock and roll.
Oh wow, nothing's here. Okay. Oh no, here they are. Oh dude, look at these! More sky is getting absolutely decimated.
Can I get both the helos? Oh! Alright guys, I gotta tell you, I definitely have had some pretty fun games with a lot of decks in Broken Arrow, and the last deck we played, I think, was a meta deck in the sense that it's very popular, it pushes super well, it has so many different crazy tools that you can bring. But my gosh, guys, if you want to put on like a light show the entire game, this deck is so good at it. You can bombard the enemy team with, again, airstrikes like crazy. You have even more airstrike potential now with the Eagle on top of the F-35A. You have a gigantic helo tab for insane helicopter pushes that, again, if your enemy is not super prepared for, you will wipe the floor with them. And you also have an amazing infantry tab that can hold down a point, so you're not just floating a bunch of, you know, helos and jets, you're actually contributing to the war in a sense. And I love this deck to basically get the point that nobody wants to. You sit far on the flank on an objective that, you know, might be tough to reinforce, it might be far away, it might just be difficult to capture and hold. And then, man, you just let your teammates know, hey, I got an airstrike ready. But with all that being said, guys, I will say this deck is absolutely one of those that you really need to have a team, because if your team is getting pushed, you will get rolled and you will get absolutely no value with this deck. Not that it's like no value, but your ability to hold a flank really depends on the person on your side. You know, you can easily get enveloped with this deck. You can get artied with this deck. It does not have a lot of heavy tanks, so you are relying on your infantry. But I'd say the main playstyle with this tech is capture and hold early game. And once you have a defensive net that you feel pretty confident with, on an objective, then it's just airstrikes for days. And I cannot say a deck could do it any better than this one, because with, like I said, a huge helo tab and a rockin' kick-ass air tab, you have a lot of reach to help out your entire team while also locking down an objective. So hey guys, let's go through it, starting with the recon tab. So this might seem a little odd, having two Sentinels and the Global Hawk. I really wanted to experiment with this. I didn't initially plan on keeping both of them, but what I ended up doing is I did keep both, because if I am scouting contested territory that I don't really know, you know, what my enemy's air defense is or what they're doing, I just want to send my first drone up. Definitely the Sentinel is perfect for that. As you guys know, it has a high stealth rating and can have very, very large range of vision. But if I realize that my Sentinel is able to get a lot of scouting done and their air defense is either very far away or they're not really sending a lot of planes to spot me, I'll send out the Global Hawk. Now, why would I want to use both of these? Well, the extra 1,000 range on the Global Hawk actually allows you to see enemy units in tree lines better than the Sentinel does. Because with the 4,500 range, again, you can't see something that has high stealth in a tree line, but with this you can. That extra 1,000 range on vision allows you to see enemy units hiding in trees, which is incredibly powerful, as you can imagine. It's that thing where the enemy team thinks you're cheating, but in fact you're not. You just have a Global Hawk up and you're seeing into the forests. Right, super powerful combination, and I highly encourage you guys to use the Global Hawk if you know it's safe. Right, if your Sentinel's not getting shot down and you're getting it out pretty far forward, call in the Global Hawk to give you that vision into the trees and catch all of their sneaky targets. Okay, so Rangers RRC. I've talked about these guys a lot. You guys know about them. If you have listened to any of my other deep dives, you know I love these guys, and they always serve the same purpose for me. They're frontline combat recon. They have a Moz that can push off any tanks, APCs, anything like that. And they're really there to spot for your heavier infantry in the back. STT, originally I had thought to use these guys as I normally have been doing lately in the pararescue. But because I'm holding on a flank, I actually like having these guys to be even wider on my flanks and have a standoff kit with a Stinger, because I have my other Stinger infantry kind of more tightly in the objective that I'm holding. So the special tactics team, I put them a little further off to the side on the flank, and I give them the Stinger version of loadout. So that way, if I do get a helicopter push, because this is pretty popular, when you're on that far flank objective, the enemy will try to dogpile you with helos. And again, this deck does not have a lot of anti-air, so you don't want to get caught off guard with that. So the special tactics team adds another layer of air defense that I really enjoy. Green Beret Flash. I mean, I kind of have fallen in love with flash launchers in this game. I'm also working on a Russian deck that has the Ognamachikis. My boy Karaske did a video on them as well. So I have really learned to appreciate the power of the flash launcher. And my primary thing is, again, when you're holding that side flank, anytime you're really preparing for an enemy's big push, I mean, how many times have we all seen it now? Where you have like an enemy has like 4 or 5 APCs, they'll try to pop their smoke in layers on approach, and they just want to dump like 4 infantry squads into a building to overwhelm whatever units that you might have up on your front line, right? So these guys, you kind of have them in the town that you're holding, but you don't have them at the front. So as soon as you realize, okay, this is what's happening, they're gonna go dump all these units into this building, you can actually force fire that flash launcher into whatever building you think they're gonna be going into, catch the building on fire, and of course you wanna move your units back. So right when he gets into the building, there's already 4 or 5 flash launcher shots into the building, lighting it on fire. So they're getting burned as soon as they get there. And of course, in the better scenario that, you know, you're actually taking out his transports before he even gets there, your Green Beret's flash can hit units out in the open. I mean, if you hit a unit out in the open with that flash launcher, it is insane amounts of damage. So I used to use these guys as fire support, and maybe in another scenario where I'm more like urban environment. Nah, honestly though, I don't think I'll go back to having these guys as snipers for a while. I'm in my flash launcher phase, so they'll probably sit like that. Honestly, my kind of sniper team that I use with this deck as a fire support from long range is a Delta Force, right? And I've been enjoying them for that. So airborne snipers, now these are the kind of snipers that I like. Oh no, they're not the 2-man squad. No, they're the 3-man. So they're 85. They are pretty cheap. Now their range is pretty bad. I mean, they're not a combat unit, but the nice thing is they are better than other sniper teams that RU might have. So for example, if you are hiding these snipers somewhere on the flanks or off to the side or just anywhere that, you know, a sniper unit's usually hiding, and let's say a snipery, like the enemy sniper team is running up and these two guys see each other, they will get that kill trade versus the other sniper team, because not only they have a 3-man team, but they have an assault rifle, a grenade launcher, and this M10. So this combo of weapons out trades another sniper team, and I do really enjoy them for that. And again, because you're on the flank, you want to have you want to deploy both your snipers and you want to set them pretty far wide. So again, you kind of see what your enemy is sending at you. So let's see what I didn't bring. So again, these Silent Hawks and Arsovs, I honestly don't need these. I know, again, this is my thing. I'm not really a big ground transport guy, and especially with this deck, because I'm always taking the furthest flank objective to hold for my team. I mean, I need to get there quick, and I'm usually dropping in with a SOAR or a Chinook. I just don't need this, right? And my big paradrop is with the cargo plane. So if I want to get, you know, units in close, well, like I said, I'm doing a cargo drop, and that's my big, you know, huge group of forces that I'm trying to drop in. So now there are a lot of really good recon options with this deck. The Humvee LRAS-3, it is really good. I mean, my gosh, don't sleep on this, guys. 2400 optics with an 1.25 stealth for a vehicle is really good. Again, there is literally just nothing wrong with this unit. But again, for me, I don't get any combat value out of this thing, obviously, at all. And between my Sentinel, my Global Hawks, and these recon infantry, I just didn't need this, you know, Humvee version of a scout vehicle. RWS, I don't need this. I have everything I need here. The Matt V, I think one day, folks, I will have meme videos of Matt V going ham, but I promise we're not there yet. And these drones, I just honestly see these drones as being far inferior to the Sentinel. I know some people like their combat drone shenanigans. I just don't need combat drones. I'm really not a combat drone guy. But I do know they're powerful, right? If you can get the enemy to turn off their radar and you fly these in, they are cool, but it's just totally not my play style. So this recon deck, or this recon tab, I absolutely love it because it gives you just enough. And I'm telling you guys, this Global Hawk flying over can see infantry and tanks and everything hiding in trees, which is absolutely insane. You just use a Sentinel first to make sure there's nothing going to shoot it down. All right, so let's go to the infantry tab. Now this infantry tab is very much geared to be heavy defense, right? I'm capturing a point and I'm holding it. I am not a pushing deck. This infantry is not designed to push objectives. This infantry is designed to hold objectives. So my main goal with Delta Force is sit them behind my airborne squads. So if I have to retreat my airborne squads from a heavy infantry push, I have them to be a fallback point to most likely and mainly stop an enemy infantry assault on my other units here, which are a lot squishier. So I don't put them in CQB because I think this Fletcher launcher is just way too good to pass up, and having this extra extended range is very handy when again you're trying to create a defensive line. So airborne NGWS, I have fallen in love with these guys. I definitely think they are the best all-around line infantry in the game at 8 armor and 8 models with these insanely powerful 10 damage on their assault rifle, 10 damage on their LMG. They are shredding. And of course they have the 600 pen Moz launcher. So they're extremely versatile. The only real advice I can give for how to use airborne is don't stack them in buildings unless you're trying to like stack one with a ranger Moz to just give the pair of them some more health so your Moz teams aren't dying as fast. That is a great application, right? It's very helpful to stack any infantry with a Moz team to just give them a little more health. But stacking like 3 or 4 of these squads in one building is, again, usually not a good idea because they can get bombed, cruise missiled, all the rest. And again, they all get suppressed at the same time, which really degrades their combat effectiveness. But I have 6 of them because I like to have 3 or 4 of them out, and I'd like to be able to call in 2 or 3 more if they get knocked out. So Ranger Moz, again, they're the best AT ambush infantry in the game. I've played both factions now, and honestly, like, the Vampires don't hold a candle to these guys. They are so strong, and when they get that ambush advantage, they absolutely delete anything that runs up on them. So I do carry 4 of them, and I honestly might even drop these a little bit to get more TOW 2B and weapons squads, just because of the fact that since this deck is more geared for defense, these defensive infantry are better. But the main thing I've been running into constantly is, you know, the like T15 rush, where they can just basically drive up to your TOW 2Bs and weapon squads faster than they can knock them out. So again, I like having a lot of Rangers Moz backing up my whole infantry line, because yes, if you get tanks rolling onto your objective, this is about the only thing that's going to reliably kill them all. These basically are more of a deterrent than anything. And of course, you hope at that point that if you are getting rolled by, like, you know, 5, 6 tanks, whatever, that you have some airstrike capability to knock them out, or you used your recon well and you saw it coming. So again, great team. I always use their Carl Gustaf. Please, guys, never use these M3s. Their range is less. Their pen is garbage. They're pretty awful. For 20 points more, absolutely worth it. Stinger team. In my mind, these are one of the best AA infantry units in the game, because you get 2 launchers and you get 6 of them. The Russians have these, I feel like, in droves. It feels like. I think it's actually only 1 squad. But these guys are great, right? And again, they're a backbone to your defense. Don't embarrass yourself like I have a couple times and not bring enough Stinger teams and then get rolled by helos. I honestly found out that that's really the biggest weakness that like an infantry deck can have, is if you just don't have enough man pads and then just like 2 or 3 helos just roll over everything you got. So when you're setting up a defensive line, that's why I have the special tactics teams. Try to have one of those and one of these to start, and then I'll get my other special tactics teams, and I'll get the other 2 of these to finish it off. Then you're pretty impenetrable, and you can even shoot down jets at that point quite easily. So TOW 2Bs. I upgraded these after playing for a while from the anti-tank missile, the 2A to the TOW B, because the amount of extra damage you get for this is very considerable, and since I only have 2 of them, I need all the extra damage that I can get, and they are worth it. Again, since this squad is not 140 like the Cat team, it's just either, you know, 65 or 85. I definitely think it's worth it to pay that little bit extra, and then you get a much more much more effective squad. Now these teams, I do stack both of these into a building, because at 4 models, 1 squad in 1 building by itself can get like basically 3 tapped. Like if 1 artillery barrage comes in, like 3 shells get shot out of an enemy, like a Kovalitsaya, for example. If all 3 of those shells hit the building, this squad is either dead or almost dead on its own. But with 2 of them in there, they'll lose a couple models, but they won't get severely hit, and you can relocate. So I do like putting both of these in a building in that case. Now Rangers, so initially I didn't bring these guys. I just had my airborne, but I did encounter that whole just infantry dump tactic that a lot of people do. So I ended up bringing in Ranger squads so I could have some more CQB potential. And let me tell you guys, these dudes shred in CQB. I mean, the law, like usually the CQB squads kind of suffer when they get the law, because if another infantry unit gets in a building with them, you know, that law does no damage for you, right? But these CQBRs, they do 2.5 in damage. But this machine gun doesn't fire, but this CQBR is actually a lot of damage because 9 models and 10 health. So I've actually seen these guys do very well in CQB, and I've enjoyed using them a lot. And of course, because they have the law, if you do have that, you know, close quarter fighting, but not breaching in a building, these laws do absolutely thump. Like if you're doing forest to forest fighting, they're very good to have, and they do outperform the NGWS squad in that kind of forest environment. So I do appreciate what they do. I do think they're great, and that's why I brought 3 of them. Again, they're great to have just in case if you realize you're fighting a guy that wants to do an infantry dump or an airdrop or something like that into your town. So keep some of these in there, put them on the CQB loadout, and have some fun with them. So the weapon squad, I kind of went back and forth with these guys because, again, whenever I see an infantry unit cost, 125 points, I'm like, man, you better be just the best squad I've ever seen. And initially, I was really let down and kind of disappointed with them because although they have 2 javelin launchers, that's really all you're paying for. I mean, these M4A1s, like it's low damage and low pen. The M240L, the damage is not very good. The pen is high, sure, but I have seen these guys just really lackluster performance as an anti-infantry squad, right? Which, you know, again, if you're paying 125, I want something to be more well-rounded. But as an anti-tank squad, these guys are so good because, for example, if you take the risk and you put both of these guys in a building, I mean, 1 volley of 4 javelins and whatever just got hit is absolutely dead. I mean, it's all top attack, and that 1 unit, no matter what it is dead if it doesn't smoke off, because the first one gets APS, the other 3 go through. And these javelins, they don't fire slowly, they fire back to back. So it's literally 4 javelins hitting a target within the APS cooldown. So huge damage. Again, I don't bring too many of them because they are expensive, and I'd rather have more infantry out on the field than putting all my eggs in one basket. I think 4 of these, again, you have to remember, that's like 500 points for 4 of them. That's a lot. So I'd like to bring 2 of these, 2 TOW2Bs, and that's my defensive line. Hey, stay away, you know, stay away from my objective type of fire. But do be mindful of them. When the enemy is, you know, probing you and getting shot at by these squads, just expect the arty to strike. So, again, great defensive line and setup. Now, the LMTV Warpigs, super flexible unit. I think if in every deck that I bring, I'm going to bring at least a couple of these. Because, again, this Fletcher launcher can shoot at anything. Now, I've never hit a jet with the Fletcher, but these guys have shot at jets before. But I absolutely love just how much damage these can do to, again, everything. So its helicopter range is 1300. I keep these guys in forests. I usually call them out when I just want to, again, I have a lot of defenses in my area, and I just want to bring something else that rounds out the defense. Because these things volley fire 4 rockets at a time. And then they have to reload. But those 4 rocket bursts do a ton of damage. You can almost one-shot just about any infantry squad with 4 missiles being fired at them. So very valuable. I love to have these guys. And also, too, for ferrying units, right? So when you have injured units, you can load them into a Warpig and drive them back to supplies and then bring them back forward. So another flex capability for the Warpig. So the units I didn't bring, the HMG team, I mean, to me, these units are kind of a meme. I do appreciate that they do 20 pen, which means that it's going to start penning through armor of light vehicles. And I know these things can hit helicopters too at 800 meters. But honestly, they don't pen or ignore cover of any kind. So when you are using these as a defensive line infantry, I have to ask myself, what would I get rid of here? You know, and maybe if I like wasn't bringing rangers, or I wasn't bringing weapon squads, again, you're losing a lot of value out of that. So again, like you want to hold the line against basically a variety of, like anything but a heavy tank, right? A Delta Force can kill. This is your main line infantry that's anti everything. Ranger Mods, okay, hold back big tank pushes. Stinger teams, gotta have something to kill helos. TOW2B, deflect long range attacks from tanks. Rangers for any CQB that you might need, and weapon squad for the one tap potential if you stack 2 of these in. So now what you could say, again, if you wanted to try to find a way to round this out maybe a little better, is you could pick one of these, right? Either go for the very long 1600 meter range TOW2Bs, or go for the shorter range but higher damage of the weapon squad, and then bring some HMGs to give that a try. But personally, again, I don't want to just bring TOW2Bs, because this isn't a ton of damage by themselves, and I didn't want to bring all these weapon squads because that's just too expensive. So I just couldn't make them fit. You know, I think if I was playing a different kind of deck where it was like maybe USMC and Airborne, I would try these out and just like layer them into other squads that have machine guns to have a little more anti-infantry capability, right? Like maybe a weapon squad and an HMG team would pair really well together. But I don't really see these as like an offensive unit because they're just so low health. I don't know. I think it's kind of a weird unit, honestly. So I don't bring it. AGL, kind of the same reason that I didn't bring the HMG team, is I'm not bringing the AGL. I don't know what I would replace. Mark 47, same, right? Don't know what I would take out of it. Ranger Stingers. So now, if you're wondering why I didn't bring these and I brought the Stinger team instead, is because, well, for 10 extra points, I'm getting double the launcher and 2 extra missiles. Yeah, I'll take that trade any day of the week. And there you go. Again, you might be screaming at the top of your lungs, mashing on the keyboard, you know, punching holes through your desk, that where the heck are your ground transports, bro? You suck at this game, uninstall. Okay, I have 2, by the way. This is 24 units, okay, which, by the way, is a lot. I mean, these TOW2Bs, these Stingers, are only 4 a piece. So you can actually bring a lot with 2 War Pigs, right? But, again, I have my helicopter transports. These are way too slow when I'm flying very far out onto a flank. This just takes way too long for no reason, right? If I'm in a grinding kind of a fight, I might bring them, but hey, I'm just not a ground transport guy. Sue me, you know. I want, look, I've used up 2,000 and what, 45 points, or 2,040 points on literally pure infantry. That means to bring any ground transports, I'd have to be cutting infantry out of my deck. Yeah, no way, thank you, but nah. So there you go, guys. That's the infantry tab. Let's check out this vehicle tab. Now, this vehicle tab is one spicy meatball. And I will say there is absolutely an argument for the Sheridan. This thing is the, like, GAT monster of, you know, light vehicles and infantry. I know I'm skipping ahead to what I didn't bring. I only have 3 choices, but I feel like this is important. So this is 152 that does 11 damage to soft vehicles and 15 to infantry. Guy, this vehicle is hilarious, and I definitely recommend you guys using it and trying it out. Of course, you can also upgrade it to get the Chalet missiles, which is like a 600 pen ATGM, right? You're just adding one more layer of ATGM to your forces, and I think it's cool, right? But the reason why I didn't bring it is because I like this TOW2B as a flex support option, either for me or for my team, because it's fast. At 100 speed versus the 70 here, I can have this TOW2B launcher that has the BB at 1600 meters range, so I can add a lot of fire support for my team for cheap. And again, it's fast. So I can move this thing around, I can do massive damage to tanks, and I can damage to infantry. With this one, not so much. It's either a little bit of damage to tanks or a lot of damage to infantry. But if I just had a little more vehicle tab, I would definitely mix in a couple of these. Again, this is probably more like, you know, Armored Airborne or USMC and Airborne. I would try to mix these in. But since I'm only at 500 vehicle tab, I couldn't make these fit, right? So I know, a little backwards here, but I know the Sheridan's a cool vehicle. I just wanted to vouch for it quick. So the Thunderbolt. Now, guys, if you don't know about how, like, grossly good the Thunderbolt is, I'm going to show you right now. 525 pen. 525 pen. Guys, that's the SEP V3 gun on a tank, right? The SEP V3 cannon on a, just stare at that thing. Just let it look deep into your soul and tell you how good it is, right? So out of all the tanks, of all the US tanks in the game, only the SEP V3 is the 525, and this also gets it. So for 160 points, you're getting SEP V3 damage, right? But yes, it is absolutely glass cannon status. Now, the fact that it gets these 2 APS, I think is absolutely critical, because if it didn't have APS, this thing would basically just be like a light transport, and it would just die so incredibly quickly. The APS honestly gives you the ability to, like, oh crap and react, where you're not just relying on your smoke. You can actually run away and use some of that APS. But I love these things, and I usually try to call them out to my flank to defend my flank as a part of my kit. Once I get my infantry there and I have my recon set up, I call my Thunderbolts as, again, another layer of damage, because I don't want these being seen. But if an enemy has a big tank push coming into my objective, I want these guys close by to be able to add that damage and layer that damage onto those tanks. Again, that's like your biggest threat. Actually, I guess everything. But my biggest threats that I constantly fight is either an armor push rolling in, trying to dump infantry, a helicopter push with like 6 helos trying to dive in, or an airdrop, right, that's coming over and just trying to drop a bunch of infantry. So this is absolutely critical to your anti-tank role, and you will love having these in there. Now, why I didn't try to bring 3 of these is because, yes, you can get 1 more, right, but not 2. And I thought having the ability to have 3 TOW2Bs rounded this tab out a little better, because again, you can keep these at the objective you're defending, and it's just, again, 3 more tow missiles, which is actually cheaper than your infantry version. Or you can help a buddy out wherever he is if you need some long-range engagement with the tow missiles. So I like having these as just a little extra. I'd rather have 3 of these than 1 Thunderbolt. So that's the vehicle tab, guys. Short and sweet. Now, support tab. Oh, this tab is rough. Now, the first variant of this deck that I took out, I was an absolute meme lord, and it looked like this. Oh my god, guys, I felt like such a troll. It literally looked like this. I had no ground transport. I had, you know, it was this. And trust me, 5 Hawkeyes and 3 Brutuses is as stupid as you think it is, because it does do a lot of damage, and quite surprisingly so. I mean, I didn't even put the extended range on it. It's only 300 extra range, but you can make these clusters and these ones HE, so you can kind of kill everything, you know, at the appropriate range. But yes, 8 artillery does do a ton of damage, and if you spread them out and micro them, good luck the enemy trying to actually knock you out. But you can be super annoying with this, but it's kind of like low skill gameplay, and you're really leaving yourself open to just get like air spammed to death. Because when the enemy realizes, oh hey guys, there's no long range AA on this side of the map, then guess what? All of their air players are just gonna have a field day blowing up all of your infantry. So I cut that out. I'm sorry, I gotta have these lined up a certain way. I cut that out. I kept the 'Brutuses. Actually, I think the Slam Rams were next. I kept the 'Brutuses. but I added slam rams and I added MTVs. So the most important thing about having 3 MTVs is you want to drop your supplies far back. I can't tell you guys how many times I have dropped my supplies a little too far up, and then within 5 seconds of me dropping off infantry and supplies, a artillery shell comes in and blows it all up. So I really got good at playing the Logi game, and I really think the Logi game in Broken Arrow comes down to dropping helicopter supplies close enough and then ferrying stuff back and forth with your MATVs. And you can shift command everything in this game, so it's not hard to do, but it's definitely vital that you do it and that you get used to doing it, because that way you're not just gonna get, you know, spotted so super easily and just have all your stuff get blown up, right? So I definitely have 3 of these because you're probably gonna have 2 of them up at the front line. One of them might die. You wanna have an extra one, right? So slam ram, this is mandatory, and I keep mine cheap because I'm like, wow, for 50 points, I mean, that's like almost a 25% increase in cost. You're only getting 2 anti-helo missiles, and I kind of have that covered already with my stingers. So I just don't need this. I just need the 4 AIM-120, excuse me, I need the 4 AIM-120s, and having 2 of these is just enough. I put them on a hotkey, so if I see a plane is coming up, I'll just hit the hotkey, I'll hit Z, and I'll turn my radar on and engage whatever I'm fighting against. But try to call these out in phase 1. Don't wait too long to bring out your slam rams. They are super important into your build. And the Brutus, honestly, it comes with guided rounds. I do make it more expensive to put the guided rounds on it. You have forward snipers, so you do have the ability to take advantage of these. But besides that, I mean, it really reduces the accuracy, or yeah, it increases the accuracy, reduces the spread, which for this thing I feel like is so important. I mean, when you're at 210 spread, you're missing a lot. I mean, that spread is atrocious. So 150 is much more manageable, and it allows you to basically keep your enemy in check. Not having any artillery means that the only way for you to soften up targets that are spotting you, or that you've spotted, is with your airstrikes, and you only have 4 F-35As and 2 Strike Eagles. So you need something else to keep your enemies honest while you're holding down and defending a point. So I already told you why I'm not bringing the Hawkeyes. I'm not bringing the Avengers because my support tab is light with this deck. And again, this is the biggest reason why. Your vehicle tab and your support tab being as light as they are, you really, really rely on the rest of your team filling in those massive gaps. So yeah, if you basically come into a match or you're playing with your buddies and you have 3 guys that are bringing armored decks, and you have a guy that's like, oh, I got the support, man, don't worry, I got all my packs and everything, then hell yeah, brother, play this Flyboy deck and absolutely dunk with airplanes and helicopters all over the map. So these Avengers, again, there's nothing wrong with them. You can upgrade them to get, you know, 2 Stinger pods and give them B-kit armor, which is really you're just giving them the smoke launcher, right, to hide if they need it. But I just don't need it because my support tab is so light. I needed all these 3, and my anti-air is being handled by my infantry. So that's the support tab. All right, guys, let's get to the feasting of this deck. The absolute insanity that is this helicopter tab. And I gotta tell you, oh man, I feasted with this helicopter tab. You literally have the best helicopters in the game, not because they have the highest armor, the highest health like the Russian helicopters do, but because of the quantity of helicopters that you have and the firepower that your helicopters have for the cost. Okay, no Russian helicopter is as cost effective as this lineup of helos, and let me tell you why. So we all know the Killer Egg. I got clips for days of this thing being an absolute menace, and my latest trick with the Killer Egg is just hiding this thing at the enemy's spawn point and just shooting down everything that they spawn over and over and over again until they figure it out and come kill me and get me off the objective. But this thing is an absolute menace and will completely embarrass an enemy team if they don't realize that you're camping their spawn with killer eggs. But I normally use it again as a scout, as a scouting helo at the beginning of the game. I send them all out to scout whatever objective that I'm going to airdrop on. Very important that you know where you're landing and that it's clear. So the Kiowa Warrior. This thing, when I'm playing RU, this thing irks me so bad. But when I'm playing as US, I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. I have been waiting, honestly. I've been waiting over a month since the game came out to have an airborne deck and start using the Kiowa Warrior. Guys, for 90 points, 90, it has 20 ECM and 4 Stinger missiles. That is so strong. This thing can easily trade into any Russian helicopter, and I have seen it, man. I have seen this thing absolutely dumpster Russian helos with the fact that it has 20 ECM, again, the 10 flares and the 4 of these. If you call these out in a pair, or even more, if you call out all 4 of them, you are gonna rinse whatever helicopters that you come across. And even if they die, it's not a big deal. It's only 90 points. So very powerful, very strong helicopter. Again, I know its other stats like armor and health are low. So if you're going up against something that, you know, has like a gun, you know, like a Derevitzi or something, yes, this thing gets dumpstered pretty quick. But you're usually, again, your main priority with this, in my opinion, is to have it fight other helos. This thing wins those helo trades so well, and again, it's efficiency. Even if, again, if they shoot 1 or 2 of you down, if you kill one of their helos that's probably worth 200 or more, you're trading way up. So absolutely bring 4 of these, and when you're ready to do a Flight of the Valkyries helicopter push, bring them all out, man, because you're gonna be glad that they're there screening for these big boys. So let's look at the Guardian. Definitely one of the best attack helos in the game with the JAGM launcher. Of course, the Hydras are just kind of neither here nor there. They're just nice to have, but they're not what's cranking out your damage. You want these things sitting in the back line with the JAGMs, just deleting all of the tanks. When I'm doing a big helicopter push, I have killer eggs in the front. I have Kiowas probably second or third with the Apache, and I have these in the back. So you're obviously going to overwhelm whatever air defense they have, right? So your Guardians, you want them focusing the SHORADs. So what you do is you just right-click the Guardians on all of the SHORADs. You just shift-click, right-click the first one, and then shift-click all the SHORAD, and you basically hope that by the time your killer eggs and Kiowas or maybe your Apache dies, that this thing has killed all their SHORAD. Right, it does have a lot of ECM, and if they're smart, they'll try to focus fire your Guardian. But this thing wins those trades and wins them hard. I love this thing. It is super expensive. I mean, it's $290, but boy, it slaps when you bring it out. So now the Apache. I love this thing for just Hydra rocket, just spam. I mean, at 76 Hydras, this guy I use to focus fire the man pads. So this guy is screening. This guy, again, I have it kind of even with the Apache to attack any other helos. But gosh, the Apache, when I see their man pads, again, the Guardian, focus fire the SHORADs, like the vehicles. The Apache, I have it focus fire the man pads. Because with 4 of these Hydra launchers, he's firing all 4 at the same time, and you will delete infantry very quickly. So you basically want to use these to wipe out the man pad squads. And again, just as a reminder, once this thing is run out of ammo, just send it back to base. Just the gun by itself is not worth it. For 150 points, you're trying to save these points, so just send it back, right? As soon as its rockets are gone, go ahead and sell it. And that goes with all these, right? So if your Kiowas run out of rockets, send them back. If your Apaches run out, send them back. But this is getting to be a very strong loadout. And then to round that all out, I bring the DAB. Now, originally I had this with the AT missiles and the Stingers, but 260 I felt like was kind of too expensive for this thing. So I have 4 Kiowa Warriors with Stingers. That should be enough. right? I switched this to Hydra rockets to bring this price down by, 80 for the pair. And really what I have this thing do is assist my Guardians with killing Shorads, right? So I'll have the Guardians, basically what I do, let's say if there's 4 Shorads in front of me, like right to left, there's 4. I'll shift click the Guardian, right to left, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll shift click the DAP, left to right, 1, 2, 3, 4. So hopefully, again, they're just killing those Shorads very quickly. That's kind of the idea. I want 1 extra layer of anti-tank, and of course this thing still has its Gaus and it still has its Hydras to do damage to infantry or whatever else, right? Very good unit though, and again, you can also put infantry with it. So if you're feeling bold enough that you want to, if you have enough points saved up, because trust me, this is a lot of points. I mean, 140, 550. And then so I have like 1,100 points here, so 1,400. I mean, you gotta have like 1,500 points saved up to bring all this. But if you somehow have more than 1,500 points and you also want to bring 2 infantry squads, cool. You can stuff a couple of infantry squads in here too and drop them off. But again, in that Helo Assault, I usually don't have enough points also for DAPs. But if I do, these are great to bring in for that. Now, if you wanted to use this as more of a combat insertion type of role, it might be better to put Stinger missiles on it or bring Kiowa warriors with it so you're not caught out open when you're trying to drop infantry out of the front line. Now, again, I know 14 Hydra rockets is basically nothing, but in my opinion, it's better than empty, and I wouldn't swap out these Hellfires. These Hellfires absolutely do a ton of damage and are very well worth it to put it on another airframe that you can also put infantry on. Again, there's an argument to just bring the longbow instead of this. There is an argument for that because it has more armor, but this thing has 25% ECM. Yeah, and I'm telling you that 10% extra ECM, man, it pays off in dividends. So even though you're getting, these fire and forgets, funny enough, the range on these Hellfires is longer. And again, you can bring infantry. It gives you a little bit more multi-roll than just stacking more attack helo, right? But gosh, guys, this is a chonky helo deck. And I'm glad I have plenty of clips of these helos doing mega massive damage. So this is a big part of your deck. And you definitely want to, once you get your infantry set up and your defensive line kind of set up on whatever point you're going to hold, you want to start saving points for airstrikes and for helo pushes. And boy, this deck does it in spades. Better than any other deck combination in the game. So let's look at the Osprey. So the Osprey and the Soar, I'll just kind of talk about them together. They are bringing in all your stuff. Like I said before, the Soar brings in a lot of stuff. 32 men, 1,250 supplies. The Osprey brings in a little less stuff, but much faster at 500 speed on the Osprey versus 290 on the Soar. I've heard some guys like to, load this thing up with guns and give it, ECM. Honestly, I have never put this thing in a combat situation, and the only time it is in a combat situation is when I deploy it too far forward and stingers are shooting at it. So since I only have one of them, I don't want to risk this thing dying, because again, look at it, right? You're all of a sudden gonna trick this thing out, and it's 195. I mean, that's expensive. That's more expensive than your Apache. It's almost as much as your DAP, right? And you're just getting a couple of machine guns, right? Like, I don't know. Even though there's 2 of them and they both be firing from one side and sure 18 health. Yeah, I don't know, guys. Like, to me, this is just not really, again, maybe you can find some cool way to use it on like a forward deployed DAP, Soar, and that just isn't me. I would never want to risk that, because on top of it, if the infantry you're carrying die, that's a huge loss. If this thing, even on its own, I can't imagine how much damage it's really getting for all of this, cost. So just not for me. Now, we have a lot of helicopters we didn't bring. Primarily, I think the longbow is the big one here. I did at one time have a conversation with someone about, if you bring double Hellfires, they shoot faster. But guys, for 330 points, this is a fragile helicopter that can get killed, and you've given the team a lot more. I mean, it's 40 more points than the Guardian. Remember, the Guardian has 25 ECM. You know, I want to have that extra 10% ECM, and gaining 8 more missiles, even though they might shoot a little faster, just was not worth it for me. So when I have a choice between the Guardian and the Longbow, I'm going to pick the Guardian every single time. Spend that 45 extra points, get a better JAGA missile with 200 extra range, and also have a better ECM system. Absolutely. All right, so the Chinook, I have the Soar. That's all I need. Let's see, what else did I bring? The Comanche. Okay, I think I've said this before in my other videos. I didn't bring the Comanche because the Kiowa Warrior does everything the Comanche does, and it survives. 10% ECM versus 20% ECM really pays off for you here, and it's so much cheaper. I mean, we all know when you load this thing up with Stinger missiles, it's $260, right? That's the price of almost 3 of these. So even though this is good, it's not so good better than the Kiowa. Yeah, no way. Again, 12 missiles is fine. 4 isn't a lot, but again, I'm bringing this thing out and I'm shooting off all those missiles. As soon as they're out, I sell it. And this thing is way better than the Comanche for the role that I have it in. So Soar and Blackhawk, I just don't need the extra transport. I wouldn't cut what I have. And that's the Helo tab, guys. Absolutely critical part of your deck. Definitely save up points after you get your infantry and start using these. Now, guys, I want you to absolutely like cackle inside at just how ridiculously hilarious 2,900 points of an air tab is. I mean, this is like half the GDP of small countries, you know, air tab in an air tab, right? I don't know. That didn't make any sense, but I know what you mean. I know you know what I meant. Or if you didn't, then interpret that into a language that you understand, because I'm basically not speaking a coherent one right now. But 2,900 points is almost 3,000 points in air tab. Russia doesn't get anything close to this at all whatsoever. And this is like true American firepower, again, epitomized in a deck. And of course, we suffer for it. No vehicles, no support. But I really wanted to leverage this as best as I could. And basically what I did is I just added 2 F-15E Strike Eagles, right? So we all know and love the Raptor. It does its job very, very well here. I mean, the 2 JADAMs, again, I keep this thing as a backline scout. I really use it to protect the planes that I'm calling out. Or if I see them bring out air superiority fighters or drones, I'm using this to shoot the JADAM at max range and stay hidden the entire time. They never see me and they'll get hit. But trying to be as stealthy with this thing as possible is the key. You really don't want to lose it. You want to try to get it back, because that 400 points is a huge part of your economy with this deck. Is you want to have as many points cycling back into your pool so you can spend them on this air tab. Your goal, honestly, is, you know, by the end of each phase, you've used all your planes to try to get as many kills as you can with as few losses from your planes, right? That's a big part of this deck. Remember, you have almost a double respawn time on your plane when it dies versus when it comes back and it's only used its munitions. So F-15E Strike Eagle. Now, this is literally the one thing that any air tab I've ever had really needed, was a very, very heavy cluster payload. Now, arguably, and one of the things I've thought about is I don't necessarily need 12 cluster bombs, right? When I'm looking at this kind of set of air, I mean, when you look at these cluster bombs, each one does 5 damage. So technically you only need 4 to kill a tank, right? I could actually trade this out and make this thing 275 and bring a third one. Wow, did I just learn something I didn't know before? Because I thought the way I did the math before is I thought, well, I can't have enough to get a one-shot. And that was the reason why I brought more of them, was because I said, well, I needed to bring these 8 to actually make the one-shots happen. Wow, guys, you're catching it live. I'm deliberating here. Because if I could have 3 of these and they're 275, because okay, so here's the thing. With the Strike Eagle, one of the things I've noticed is that it does die. Because it doesn't have stealth, it's usually flying in, it's dropping off all of its bombs, it's killing whatever I'm sending it at, but it's also dying. And when I was having to spend, you know, 365, the getting that value back was a little tougher. But I'm telling you, quantity is the name of the game here. So you know what, guys, we are doing this live. I am gonna have to test to see if these 4 cluster bombs, I mean, again, you're right on the break point there. Basically all of these have to hit and deal, you know, max damage where you drop them to get the kill. But this might totally be worth it. I mean, I have clips of this, you know, 12 cluster bomb run doing massive damage to tanks in a line and getting plenty of kills with it. But honestly, I would rather have an extra one than going with one less and having more payload. So I'm gonna try this out. And of course, on the wing pylons, this is really just because this is, you know, I don't want to prioritize this as an air-to-air fighter, because I really want the option to just shoot down something, and you have to take some air-to-air missiles. But I like the ability to shoot down a drone if I see it with this or something, or I shoot at a helicopter as I'm flying by, but that's not the goal. So yes, I'm definitely gonna try, and please tell me in the comments if you guys actually have used this loadout before and the 4 clusters at 1,000 pounds does the job. Please tell me, but I'm gonna test this. So here we are, guys. You know, we always kind of end up right back where it all started. Here, I'm actually gonna check the paint job on this guy real quick. I already got it chosen. So we're back where it all started, the F-35A. I mean, I've made plane guides on this video. I've taught people in Discord how to fly this thing. I have done shorts. I've done a lot to try to show the community, hey, the F-35A is a godsend to the air tab. And that's because, again, these 2,000 pound JDAMs can kill anything in the game. Right? You have a T-14, 2 of them can kill that. Any tank, any other tank, 1 of them will kill it. You have, you know, AA in the back line, you can kill it. You have Arty, you can kill, I mean, just anything, infantry in a building, just whatever is there, this thing can absolutely demolish it. And I'm just so happy that, again, with this massive air tab, and now we are over 3,000, by the way, guys. We literally now have a 3,000 point air tab. So, you know, I feel like I earned an achievement there, all on our own. So yes, you basically, again, once your infantry is set up, once your defensive line is there and you're holding the objective, right? I do not believe in just kill farming. I've seen plenty of content creators, and you probably know who I'm talking about. This guy that loves to talk about how he knows the game. He's the best player in the world. Everybody who doesn't agree with him is an idiot, and he's amazing, and he's basically God's gift to us in Broken Arrow. And he kill farms the whole game, feeds half of the time, and if it wasn't for his teammates, he'd never hold an objective. Anyway, that's my rant. So anyway, please don't be a kill farmer. Kills do contribute to the wins, but guys, you gotta hold objectives. You just have to do that. So please, use your infantry, hold an objective, get yourself set up with a nice defensive screen, and then start deploying your F-35As. And again, you kind of want to use them wherever you see a high value target. Whenever your teammates are asking for an airstrike or for something to die, when you see clumped up Arty. And one of the strategies I use is calling this thing out and having it sit in your backline. So call that loitering. Have it sit at low altitude in your backline so it's closer to the fight. And so when you see something that you want to kill with it, you can have it, you can shift command those bombs to drop and then get low and go back to base. And it's much closer to the fight rather than sitting all the way back. So love this thing. Now, the big playstyle shift for me in this deck versus any of the other ones is the Hercules. I'm not really a big airdrop player because I think it's very risky. The plane usually always dies, you know, just 185 points in the can. Again, there's so many things that can go wrong with an airdrop, but the thing I really love about this airdrop in particular is, first of all, for 185 points, this thing is pretty cheap. Of course, you know, you can bring, I think, the Globe Master for 250, and of course it carries, I mean, only 10 more troops, guys, but it carries a lot more weight, right? So if you wanted to, you know, paradrop tanks or something with this, you could. But I'm not paradropping tanks. I'll drive my tanks up when I, you know, darn well feel like it. But the Hercules is so good because you can get a nice big deployment of troops off right after the air war. So right after the air war is done, you know for 100% certainty there are no enemy planes left in the air, right? Then that's what I do. I call out my one plane and then I wait, and I don't spend any of my other points. I just rack up points. Then as soon as my plane is, you know, either flying back or, again, I just know that there's no planes, then I fill this thing up and I drop this on that far objective that I'm looking to take and hold. And that way you get that advantage. You get that advantage of all your units can land near the objective or on it and then get into a defensive position. And again, I really love that added play style bonus that this deck allows you to have. And again, all of your infantry, I mean, all of them, all of this infantry is airdroppable. Let's look. Airdrop, 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 airdrop. Yep, 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 yep. Literally everything, guys. So these two decks couldn't pair more efficiently together for airdrops because everything can be airdropped. So take that into consideration. Of course, also, you know, your Brutuses can, and the Slam Ram, I thought it could, but yeah, even, no, this one can, is too big. That can't either, but your Thunderbolt can. So just be mindful, again, you can also drop these, but again, they're so heavy. You're basically eating up the entire cargo space with one. If you want to airdrop vehicles, you'd have to bring the Globe Master to reliably do that. So, all right, guys, that's the deck. Again, capture and hold infantry, vehicles just to support that, and then you can have some flex options here. Brutus to keep them honest, helicopters and planes to show a force across the map once you've held down your objective. So, now, we have the very, very difficult task of slicing 95 points off of this deck. That is not as easy as it sounds, because I don't have anything that costs 95. Oh yeah, this is brutal. Oh man, still 35. That doesn't work out either. I'm tempted to get rid of a TOW 2B, but honestly, I love having 3 of these. Like, I feel like only having 2 of them would actually kind of suck. Well, you know, here we go, guys. We're doing it live. What's gonna go? I think I'm actually gonna drop one of the Sentinels because I have 2 drones already. So actually maybe having a 3rd drone isn't that great. And now I have 75 points to add. And here's the deck building game, guys. How do you make all this jigsaw points of this jigsaw puzzle of points? How do you make it all add up? Yeah, 75 points. That's such a weird number to try to make fit. I think it'd have to be something in the recon tab because basically all of these are maxed out, and I wouldn't change my loadout or anything about these. It'd have to be something to add to the recon tab. 75 points. Why don't you guys tell me what you would add for 75 points? Fire. Wow, 120, huh? Goodness gracious. I have seen some pretty hilarious memes with this minigun. The thing is, I have seen it do some hilarious amounts of damage. 75 points. Come on, guys, channel your inner help here to help me get to where I need to be with this. You know, I'm gonna add this LRAS and then I'll add, oh, now it's 20. That doesn't math, but with the LRAS, oh, it's really not much. I don't even know if this thing would help me win an engagement, right? Like if something actually caught me, what is the M2 gonna kill that the M240 couldn't anyway, right? It's like if like this thing, basically the only thing I could actually trade with is like a sniper, and that would just kill it anyway. Oh, smoke pods. Maybe smoke pods for 5. Say B kit armor. Well, B kit armor makes it not airdroppable, but I wouldn't airdrop it anyway. Yeah, 15 points. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess I could add the Mat V. All right, guys, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna finally throw in the Mat V, but can I get the javelin? No, I'm 5 off. No. Oh, brutal takedown. That's where you're like, you know, you're running, you're almost at the finish line, and then you get you trip and fall and like just face plant 2 inches from the finish line. Yeah, that kind of breaks that pretty bad. Yeah, nope. Yeah, I guess okay. I guess it's just LRAS with the HMG. Yeah, all right. LRAS with the HMG it is. So that's it, guys. Okay, there we go. We're still 10 points short. My brain is not happy with that at all. It's frowning in all caps right now. But that's it, guys. That's the Flyboy deck. Please remember, you need a team to make this deck work. It is not a flexible deck. You do not have any vehicles. You do not have any support. So you heavily rely on the take and hold infantry. Your infantry's ability to assault is very weak because you don't have anything to back it up, right? You just don't. You don't have any good support options. You don't have enough of them. You don't have enough vehicles. Your infantry need to get into an objective and dig in. And then your planes and your helicopters are there to just troll the enemy team all day once they get into position. So anyways, guys, thank you so much. Love you. Thanks for being here. Please join the Discord. We have a tournament coming up on August 2nd. So big shout out to BA League. Love y'all. Catch you next time.